And I think you and I have talked about this before, where it's just
Hmm.
like you're like, I guess this is comedy, and you're just kind of like, and then I
Yeah.
also started young
Mm.
too, so I was a young human being being like, I guess this is what people do at bars, and
Mm.
you're not really
Yeah.
sure what all the etiquette is, and you're right, because now it's like I immediately look at red flags, and I'm
Yeah.
like, not okay, not interested. Like, I cut things off way sooner than I normally in the past
Yeah.
would, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna drive 6 hours for to this crazy thing to happen. But like
Yeah.
for, a long time I did.
For no money. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
and think it was the greatest thing ever. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, what a
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I saw all that.
yeah. They let me do 15 minutes, okay?
Whoa.
Like remember when like yeah, like comedians were like, "Oh my God, I get to do 15 minutes or whatever." And yeah,
Yeah,
it was crazy. Like there's an open mic with only musicians that they let you do 15 minutes of comedy on stage.
because they don't understand how it works.
Yes, they don't understand how it works. I still do music open mics, and they can be really good if you know how to do them.
Yeah,
If you get them early, but what I still get, and maybe this is just me because of the way I like look or whatever, but like I still have musicians like come up to me and like give me comedy advice
of
after
course.
I said, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking. Like I don't give you music advice. Like what are you doing? Like this is
You
so
should. You should start being like, when you're pressing the buttons and you're, holding the
yeah.
whammy bar or whatever, you just start
Yeah.
pushing and they're like, what are you talking about? And you're like, okay, good. You also.
And some of it, like older guys, like here's two different pieces of advice I got from like older guys. One of them was like, the comedian Richard Lewis? You should be more like him.
Right. Solid. Got it.
And and then also Andrew Dice Clay, you know how he goes after the audience? You should go after the audience. Stop talking about yourself on stage. No one wants to hear that bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No one's ever made a career talking about themselves on stage.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But
So okay, so
it's
you're doing stand up, you're starting to make these video essays, and
mhm.
then it seems like you maybe took a break from the video essays, and then you're like, let me refocus, or what happened where you're like, I'm liking this, and then one day you're like not liking it.
So they were hard. So I did like them. I still like them, but it's and I did take a while. I did do one like in the past month or something, but
Okay.
before that I hadn't done anything in like a year or two. It it's so hard. I was just struggling with it. Like I love everything about it, but it's so hard like mining yourself for like emotional traumatic experiences. And I had several traumatic experiences that I did make videos about. I never released them because I was like, I just I just need this stuff to die. Like I can't rehash
Mm,
the stuff.
yeah.
I w- I you know I bought a car and I got scammed. Just and I have it all on camera. It's just like I was like the only way I really know how to do art, and I don't think this is a good way, is to just like is to expose my emotional trauma.
Mm,
And that kind of wore me out. I don't think it's necessarily a good way. Like that's the type of comedy I like, but I don't think it's super sustainable. So I just switched for a while into producing comedy shows and like editing like comedy clips
yeah.
for other comedians. And so I built a whole like comedy production business for the last like 3 years or something like that. And I enjoyed that, and I've done that a lot, and I still do that. But now after 3 years of doing that, I'm like, okay, it's time to like transition into something else. So now I've been trying to do more like video production stuff, producing content for people, making clips for comedians. And I've been doing that. I still make money off of producing shows, but I'm trying to move more into the production side. And I've yeah, I've started working with people on that perspective. I started doing like my own projects where like I'm not like the talent as well,
Yeah.
and it is so much emotionally so much better too. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, when I met with you in New York, I remember that was like one of my first questions I wanted to ask you was when you make these video essays, how do you film all of that? And then you gave me the answer that I figured
yeah,
what I didn't want to hear is you're
yeah.
like, I just film everything. I have hours of footage. It takes me a very long time.
Oh,
And I'm like, that seems really stressful and hard. And I was like,
yeah.
I was hoping that you're like, I found out the secret formula, but it
No.
seems stressful. And then, so you went
Yeah.
from that, and then you moved over to, you have a production company. And
Yeah.
now I do constantly see your TikToks of just
Oh,
clips of comics and your shows. And it's, I always like them and
thank you.
share and when I can and things like
Yeah.
that. So I think you do such a good job of it seems like it's self-produced shows and then you have a
Hmm.
nice backdrop. Like how's
Yeah.
that all work?
Yeah. Like the whole process of producing shows, beginning to end, that kind of stuff.
Well, just like for those clips that I'm seeing,
Okay.
like because they're all the reason I bring that up is because they're so
Yeah.
well branded and then they're
Oh,
all similar vibe. So you're
yeah.
like, I know where this came from. I
Yeah.
never do I question where it came from. So how
Yes.
did you stumble into that? And then like, how's it all work?
I ripped off Don't Tell Comedy and
Perfect.
before that Sesh Comedy. I don't know if you ever saw their stuff.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he's a Philly from Philly area, the guy one of the guys who started that. But yeah, like I just ripped off like if you look at their early clips, like their sign, like my sign is like the exact same except red. But yeah, so that's what I just said like, oh, I want to do that, and I want to learn how to edit clip. You know what I mean? And so I got to a point where I bought a camera and I just set it up. And the first couple of shows I edited, I just realized like the sound was so trash. So then I just figured out I got to mic the audience, I got to mic the
Yeah.
mic, and then I got to mix it into the camera. And it doesn't take like a lot of work to like just elevate the stand-up clips that much more. And then also I use like video lights at shows as opposed to a lot of people like use like harsh spotlights and weird
Yeah.
stuff. I use like a softer it's almost like a box light to light people, and so they look really good on stage. And I got really lucky. I got really lucky where like one of the first or second shows I or set of clips I produced went like super viral. Like I had one video go to like 3 million on Instagram.
Whoa.
Uh, Back before now, Instagram inflates the numbers by pushing the videos onto Facebook too.
Yeah.
So you can check the difference between that. But back when it was all Instagram, so it was like my first time experiencing something going viral. It was like how many like how they show you like who restoried it. It was like 1,000 people restoring it at a time. It was like people arguing and arguing in the comments because it was like one of the reasons why I went viral is because it was a good joke, but it also like touched on it was kind of like making fun of the hypocrisy of people who are unkind to say the least to trans people. And so
Mm.
there was like people arguing in the comments like "Ooh, ooh." It wasn't even about trans, it was about like masculinity and like the hypocrisy of the people who are like super
Right.
masculine or whatever. And but it kind of hooked into that like the cultural war or whatever. And so people were arguing about it. A lot of like pro LGBTQ people were like reposting it, that kind of stuff. And it was just a cool experience. And yeah, and that kind of like got me going like, oh, I got to do this again. You know what I mean? And I only had a video go that viral one other time, but it
Yeah.
was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
that motivated you. And then I mean, in that channel, I assume that TikTok account, and do you also have an Instagram for it, or is it just the TikTok account?
it's a TikTok, Instagram. Instagram is probably where I get the most traction. Yeah, just Roux Comedy, TikTok, Instagram. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are
Okay.
the
So you're
three
posting
places.
across all the platforms.
Yeah, across all the major platforms. Yeah, yeah.
And which one? So Instagram's the one that gives you the most success for those?
Yeah, Instagram. Early on, it was Facebook. I got up to like just under 10,000 followers on Facebook, and then I just stopped getting stuff because I think they have to monetize it at 10,000. So they're like, we're gonna keep them just below there.
Mm,
But I had, yeah, a couple go to like a million on Facebook. I've had like probably like 15 million total views on Instagram, and then TikTok, I'm like about a million or so, and then YouTube Shorts. Who the fuck knows? I don't even know. The YouTube Shorts seem to like cap me at like I never got past like 12,000 views on a video,
mm,
but it was still cool. I'm at like 430
yeah.
followers on the YouTube. But yeah, it was just a whole way to learn social media production. And I don't do that as much anymore because it's complicated. My shows aren't like the coolest spots to like or most of my shows aren't necessarily like the coolest spots to showcase talent. Like I do a lot of shows in like breweries and wineries, which I
Hmm.
think you have some experience with.
Yeah, I do,
And
I do to this day. I do a lot of breweries and
yeah.
wineries, and that is like an issue where it's like it could be an amazing show, but it's
Mhm.
hard to capture that on video.
Yes. I have one. I can capture it on video, but yes, there's that, and it's also like breweries and wineries. At least the ones I do aren't meant for live performance. They're often like just giant warehouses or like smaller
Yeah,
like industrial parks. Like they're not performance things at all. So it is, I have gotten really good at making like these like places that are not meant for comedy, like making it a good fit for comedy. But it also like to book those shows, especially I do a lot of like suburb shows, a lot of like more like not city stuff, like a lot of even stuff like in more rural Pennsylvania or just the suburbs where people
yeah,
are not as cool, as like the city, like the or people who are not as hip to comedy, even like they find everything funny, but they won't laugh as hard. So it's a harder environment for comedy. I still produce good shows, but I need to book like a certain type of person. You know what I mean? So it, which might not always be as like, I often book like a broader type of headliner, which isn't always like good to do clips like that. So I have like booked a lot of the people I wanted who can do well at these shows and will make good clips. So it is very limiting in that perspective. So I just started doing stuff like on my own. Like I'm just trying to do fun stuff. Like I did kind of, I was like the energy of comedy can be like tiring. So I was like, what's like the opposite type of like video production project I can do, the opposite energy of comedy? Because comedy can be very like
yeah,
masculine, it can be very like competitive and cynical and that stuff. I mean, there's cool people, but it can get a lot. So I did a tarot reading show with someone I met at a open mic who's like, the sweetest girl ever. She's like, early 20s and just like so nice and polite to people. So I did some of that, and that was really fun, and the energy was just so different. And it was like, we would go into the park in Center City, Philadelphia, and just like, hey, free tarot readings were recorded for Instagram. We did that, and it's like not a lot of dudes volunteered. Like it was all like Gen Z girls, which is like a different energy, and it was just fun. It was a fun
yeah.
project. I did that. I've done other projects. I was just emailing with someone today about they do like roasts for like cryptids. Like they did a roast of Sasquatch.
Okay.
So like just fun stuff like that. But
Just like going outside your wheelhouse, it seems like, and trying to
yeah.
like learn these new aspects and being able to like pull that in. Yeah, so I guess like doing all these things, like is the end goal just to learn, or is there like you're trying to find like a new avenue that you're gonna head down, or?
Yeah, so I was building up my like experience as a producer, as video stuff, and what I did do is I couple months ago I sent DMs to like all the, I don't know, famous or people I know who could possibly like put me like give me a job or point me in the right direction. So I sent a bunch of DMs out to people who I knew or I met or and so I got a few comedians to cut clips for, and that was okay. But I also sent a DM out to like a comedian who I knew who is now like a kind of a, not kind of, but like a big like TikToker, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. And he gave me a job. So now I'm helping produce his podcast, helping him produce video clips and that kind of stuff. So that's
that's
really
great.
exciting, and I'm really, and that was the goal. Like I want to do more production. So I've been working with him for like just under a month now, and it's really exciting, and it's cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, clips. Because does he do like an in-person podcast or?
Yes, he does. His biggest platform is TikTok, but he does TikTok almost died. It might still be dead.
Yeah, we don't
All that
know.
stuff.
We don't know,
So
depending
he
on
does
when this
like,
comes
yeah,
out.
he's got a decently sized podcast as well. That was doing really well, but I was like, hey, I can make these videos look way better for you. I can cut shorter clips so you can put them on, so it's easy accessible. Because it's like a history podcast. Like it's like a really fun podcast, and I was like, I can help you. I can help you with more clickbaity titles. I think you need that too,
Yeah,
because he's crushing it with TikTok, but I was like, I can definitely help you with the YouTube side. So
that's great.
and I'm there while like he live records it. I like, I'm working the board. I'm hitting record, that kind of stuff. So I set up lighting. I brought lighting and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's fun, man. I'm like a nerd when it comes to that stuff. I love doing all that production side of things for sure. So
Yeah.
that's cool to hear. I
Yeah,
yeah.
your like videos, like I was when I first met you, I saw like your what is the show called again? It's like the biggest laugh
The
or
big laugh. Yeah.
the big laugh, the biggest laugh, like the
Mhm.
biggest loser. Yeah, like you like, and your documentary too, like you're doing some real serious stuff. Like I love the production quality of what you're doing as
Ah,
well.
thanks, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, same. Where it's just like It's so funny to hear that from other comedians of
Yeah.
I did the documentary, and I want to do more documentaries, but it's
Yeah.
just really my whole entire life for the last 2 years has been taken up by either working on something for like Amazon Prime, or now I'm working on recording my hour, and I'm recording my special in May.
Yeah.
And so everything has just been like I've been working the road like crazy. But when I'm done with that, it's like, yeah, I totally want to lean into like what else can I learn from? What other type of, projects and documentaries can I make so that way I can learn from these people, and then bringing
Hmm.
back the podcast as part of that and stuff too. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I thank you for saying that, but I also am just like I nerd out on like how to put all that stuff together and learn, and it's cool to see like the tarot card reading and all the other stuff you're trying to get
Yeah.
going. Are you going to continue producing shows as a whole then, or?
Um, I don't know. I
Okay.
still have some shows where I make a lot of money from, but it is, I'm not loving it as much as I used to.
Yeah,
But I find that even with comedy, like it comes and go. You know what I mean?
it
It's
does.
like it's a long thing. But I certainly I'm not, because yeah, it's tough because I for now I am, but it is tough. Like I had yeah, it's what it was interesting this year because I think 2024 last year it was really bad for like the brewery and alcohol sales industry overall. So there was a lot of turnover at like I
Yeah.
think four of my five biggest venues. all like managers were fired or moved on or whatever. So it's very uncertain, these days. I mean, my shows have been doing really well, but it's still, yeah, it's exhausting. It's booking a lot of
Yeah.
comedians. It's working with budgets where like I'm just a small, you know what I mean? What I do from a business perspective is like I don't pay as well as like like, well, actually that's debatable, but
Yeah.
like because sometimes clubs are horrible. But
Yeah.
like it's not my gigs aren't like the coolest or like it's basically like trying to get the best comedian who won't cancel on you, trying to find like undervalued comedians who would be awesome that no one's booking,
Yeah.
because I can't afford them if everyone's booking them, or trying to find shows on like Sundays or Tuesdays when everyone's available. Um, it's a hard business, you know what I mean? Like it's like, I want to pay everyone more, but like I also want to be making, you know, more than $200 for like for doing all this fucking work. It's just, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a rough,
It's
it's a
hard.
rough business. It's a hard business. I now I know why there's only a couple people who do this in this area at this level, because
Yeah.
it's rough. I don't I'm not bragging, but like I'm pretty good at it, And even
Yeah,
so, I'm like,
there's like so many things that go into every single show. I was thinking about that I was driving. I might even like make a video about this with booking and stuff,
yeah.
but I was driving to a gig recently in the last couple months, and on the way there, I was thinking about the single gig that I was doing was like two phone calls, 40 like emails, like all this back and forth, like contracts and all that like goes into it. And then also now I'm driving hours to get there just to do an hour of comedy. Like it's like, and that's like one single. So it's like, I quickly stop myself from going deep into like how many hours have I spent into all of these, like
Yeah.
these gigs up and down the coast,
It's
and so it's like, and then you apply any booker, they're doing all those things too, but maybe on a weekly basis with one venue or multiple venues, or
yeah.
so I mean the back and forth emailing alone can be so time consuming. And then yeah, and then you got to mix in comics being available, not getting sick, comics being able to get there on time, any personal issue that could happen to
Yeah.
on this thing that's just so fine tuned. And then like, yeah, and then sometimes it's like we walk away with like 20 bucks,
Yeah. It's it's crazy. Yeah, I think the biggest that's certainly hard. I have gotten a lot better with like the emailing and communication,
Yeah.
especially since a lot of the venues I haven't been taking on new venues so I've kind of been coasting. I haven't been growing. I was taking on like all the venues I could until May of last year, and then I like hit the wall, and I'm like, this is too much. And
Yeah.
I at the time I pride myself in like almost never canceling shows, and I canceled like 5 shows in like a 2 month period. I'm like, yeah, that's your fault. Like you did too much. You burnt yourself out. So now I just have like the big shows that make a lot of money. But still promotion is still like hard.
Yeah.
There's just so much
Yeah.
social media bullshit. You gotta schedule everything. And yeah, communicate with comedians who always like to get there like, oh, I'm gonna be there 5 minutes late, the last possible moment or whatever it is, which
Yeah.
whatever. I used to have a heart attack when that happened, but now I don't even care. I'll figure it out. But I did take on a venue from like a referral recently, and it was a mistake. Not even monetarily made good money from it.
Yeah.
What the problem was is the owner. I like communicated like uh I was like, okay, we're selling, we're up to like 40 tickets like the day before. I'm like, I have it capped at 60. Is 60 okay? Can you fit 60? Because they were like, oh, that's a lot of people. I'm like, can you fit which 60 isn't even a lot of people, but whatever. But she's like, yeah, we can fit 60. Don't change. I was like, should I change the number to like a lower? And she's like, no, we can fit 60. Well, I go in there and we end up doing like 57 or something like that. And I was like more people like seating people, and then more people keep coming, and she's like a table for like she starts like I don't know if I can seat them. I'm like, but you said 60. She's like, well, they need to call and make a reservation in addition to buying their ticket. I'm like, no, they don't. I said 60. And I was like, but no problem. I'm
Yeah.
producing comedy shows is uh the day of the show, the most important two things is to like problem solve, stay calm, problem solve, and kill dumb ideas that some managers and venues have. But I was like, I'll find seats, no problem. There's this big table of like 8 people where they only have 6 people. They gave 2 seats.
Yeah.
And I was like finding seats, and she's like, "No, no, we can't do that. I don't want to mix people at table." It was like so weird. She's like, "They're having a night. I don't want to mess up their night." And it was just so weird. I just like walked away, and it's like I can't do anything. And she eventually like did like solve it or like
Hmm.
figured it out. But it was just like so stressful and weird. And she brought in like a table where it's like uh she like put a table like outside the door that so they could see like looking in, and it was like crazy.
You're
But
like, we'll get to that 60, but
yeah, and I was like, now I like haven't like I said I'll follow up with you, and I haven't followed up, and it's been about a week and a half, so I'm like, I don't know if I want to follow up or
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
and you don't know what you're getting yourself into until that first show, and like sometimes these venues, I'll work at a venue and they'll get excited and they want me to maybe help them hand off to other comedians or get the word out or whatever, and
Yeah.
I'm always like, let's wait until how do we feel after the show? Let's always wait
Yes.
until
Yes.
how do we feel after? Because it's like I want to make sure I'm holding up my end, but then yeah, they have to hold up their end, and it's like as
Yes.
simple as like now when I send out my contract for shows, it's like I have in there not only do they have to have a PA system, but they have to have a PA system that it's someone on staff knows how to use.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and it's because like in that seems so silly, but I could name 1,000 different times in my life where I've shown up to a venue and they have a wonderful sound system. And I can't find a single cord for the microphone. I can't find a single
Yeah.
cable or like the power cord
Yeah.
is missing. And it's like I can figure it out. Like I'll figure out the system, but if there's missing stuff, then I don't, it's no luck. But
It's
uh, um,
that's the scariest thing. I almost exclusively use my system. Yeah,
I bet.
I will not because that is one of the most unknown things is like anyone know how to use the sound system? Will it sound good? I don't know. Who knows? They don't really care. You know what I mean? It's like and they a lot of these venues don't know how to do comedy. They know how to do music. So they
Hmm.
treat you like music, and you're like, no, I'm not music. People need a line of sight to the
Yeah.
stage. Like it's not people aren't just gonna be like listening as they eat or whatever. It's
Yeah. 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 So it's like it's those small things of like making, yeah, you're right though. It's like you don't know and then you get in it. For sure.
and
So
and the bit and also they like we're gonna leave the games on, we're gonna leave the TV
yeah.
on, that kind of stuff. Uh,
It's like
or it's
right
like
above your head.
Or they want to do, this is the biggest thing that I have to kill, is they want to do like an intermission. They want to do breaks in between comedians, and I just won't do that
You
because
know,
it
I
really,
I did it I've done it a few times where I've said okay.
yeah,
And it is a risk. It's a huge risk, and sometimes
yes.
it's not. If I can avoid it, great. But I will be honest. I did one resort where I was performing, and it was an earlier show, and I knew it would be like an older crowd, and we did an intermission, and they got up and they got a huge line of drink orders, right? So the venue's happy because they're
Hmm.
like they got this huge
Yeah.
line of drink orders, and then it was like something about them just getting up and stretching and being like, okay, that when
Hmm.
I hit the stage, they were excited. But I would
Good.
say 90% of the time, yeah, it's not gonna work. Like,
Yeah, I think in like a theater environment, like the resort, like they probably had like an actual like performance venue
Yeah, yeah,
right?
it was
Yeah.
a big like conference room. It sat like
Okay.
400-ish, and they're all at ta big tables, you know.
Yeah.
And then outside was like the drinks and stuff. So it's not like they could order in the room.
Yeah.
They needed to go. So like the break was nice. I was nervous about it. But that is the one time that I was like, okay, this actually,
Yeah.
worked. But in a brewery or like some restaurants or whatever, I
Yeah.
feel like you might just not carry that energy like you would normally.
And that is the trade-off is like I want to do good comedy. They want to make good money. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there's like, yeah, I'll compromise on anything. Like I'm trying to protect my comedians as much as I can. But
Hmm.
if they're like, here's $3,000, yeah, I'll do whatever the fuck you want. And but I also like got to make sure it's also important like you don't jump something on me. Like I
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah,
make
that's
sure
like a
I'm
discussion before.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I got to make sure the comedians I'm bringing here are cool with whatever like weird shit is going down, and
Yeah.
mostly they are, but it's just about putting everyone in a good position.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, you're right. Like that worked for me as a comic, but like maybe there's another comic that break happened and then they weren't like ready. They didn't feel
yeah,
like the energy's there or something, like
yeah,
it could have been a huge disconnect. So,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's a good point. And it definitely is not a day of discussion or hey, right before the show starts, they're like, hey, we're gonna do this thing.
Yeah. Hey, we have an Elvis impersonator with an open short who's going to open for you. He's also an alcoholic. I hope you don't mind. But yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's taught me a lot about business. It's taught me a lot about dealing with people and that kind of stuff, and it's made me a lot better at everything. So, like, I love this experience. So, I it might be tiring and all that stuff sometimes, but like, I love every second of it. Like, I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I love show producing and traveling and stuff because it's like you said, it does it like immediately I thought of how it makes me like I've talked to people that I probably would have never approached and I'm a shy person, so I'm like not approaching
Yeah,
people at breweries. But now here I am talking to a manager or an owner and then
yeah,
also the audience and it's like maybe at a brewery or a barbecue restaurant that I would have never gone to, and
yeah,
now here I am having a great time. I'm like, oh man, next
yeah.
time I'm in town, I'm going to this barbecue place.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy. Like, yeah, exactly. Like one venue I have, I've had it for like 2.5 years now. And like when I first started, like they were like no one was going there. They were brand new. And then in the last year, the business started picking up. They like started winning awards for their burgers. In
oh,
the
nice.
last month or two, some like food bloggers or something went there and made TikToks about it, and they went like mega viral. And so now the place is jam packed, and like rightfully so. Their food is awesome, and the manager like started like, hey, can you just bring us like a bunch of appetizers? And like, yeah, here's our rib appetizer. Here's our like pitas. Here's our wings or whatever. And it's just like it's an amazing experience now, even though it's like it's one of those shows where like you can hear the kitchen clanking around and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Which can be horrible. It's like the highs are high. Like it can be a super fun show, it can be a horrible show, but like I'm just like the food's so good. I'm just gonna keep doing this show. Like I don't
Yeah.
care.
And honestly, some of those vibes where you're like, this isn't a perfect situation. It can
Yeah.
still be a really fun live show. And that's kind of going back to like what I was
Yeah.
saying, where it's like the clinking noises and like the setup might not be like, I'm not going to film, a special there, but
Uh-huh.
like, man, is it a cool show to have every month? And is it a cool
Yeah.
time? That's so interesting. So I guess like,
Yeah.
I would like to know, like, you're dabbling in helping with podcasts, you're making all these video clips, and then also you're still doing stand up and you're producing. Like, do
Mhm.
you know, is the end goal to be doing like are you working towards like your own hour special or to be your own road dog or like are you like, man, I'd just love to be on a team with someone that's doing that or like
Yeah.
what are you looking for?
I still love stand up. I still do stand up. but I haven't been growing as much in stand up. I have been spending most of my energy producing that kind of stuff. I've gotten really good at hosting at these specific types of shows. With just the one act though, I haven't even been like working on like a different like I have other bits, like all my fun bits. I can't do my fun bits at these like older, more conservative. Like I just can't do it. It's like, oh, I just can't. I can't. Or I do it and I just like feel the like weirdness after I get
Yeah.
off stage. So I've like that one act at like a lot of the shows. I've really loved production. I don't think I'm done with comedy, but I haven't been like putting time and energy into like writing new things or growing with it. I've been putting all the energy into like producing stuff like that and that kind of stuff. So it's like I don't know. I don't know where it's going to take me, but like it's not at one point my goal was to like kind of do what you're doing, but now it's not. Now I'm enjoying producing for other people. I like it's a lot less stress. Stand-up's not stressful, but like for like it's a lot. What's great about like producing other people's content is like I don't have the same emotional bias. Like I
Yeah.
don't think I'm an amazing judge at like my stuff or like my videos, especially towards the end, would take so long to produce because I had to wait till like the emotional feeling of it wore off. So I didn't like feel weird or stressed out about the thing or like when you're like just mad at someone and you're still like mad at them like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's it's like that kind of emotion lingering when I was like editing like my traumatic experiences or whatever. So it's great working with other people and it is an art to like put other people in positions to succeed, which I think producing comedy shows really got me into because at first I was like this is all about like making me better at a comedian and then I just started just like getting less of an ego about it and realizing like, hey, if I put other people here, they can just do a way better job than me at this, you know what I mean? So it is like, yeah, I mean, I think I have some really good bits that I like and but for now it's just producing, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, comedy has taught me that I'm a really good producer. I don't Jury's still out on how good of a comedian I am, but I think I'm a good producer for sure.
But I think it's like, same. Like at one point, I would have said that I was a better writer than performer, and then that caught up, and now I feel like I'm good writer and performer. And then same with like video editing, I was better that than stand up. And it's like, it's
hmm
just like the longer I've been in it, the more like everything starts to kind of even out, and then it truly is
Yeah.
like, what do I like? And like
Yeah.
my big issue that I've been dealing with is like I'm not good at posting clips of my stand-up, and it's because I not only like when you record it, right? But you've probably done that joke a bunch to get it ready to record. And then
hmm
you record it somewhere, and then you're editing it, and now you're watching it a bunch of times, and then it's now saved onto your phone to post. And
Yeah.
then I'm like, I do this so often where I'll have it ready to post and I'll
Uh-huh.
be writing the caption and then I'll be like, does this matter? Do I care about like who's gonna watch this? And it's not so much of like, oh, this joke sucks, but more of like I just have like slowly disconnected from this thing that at one point I wanted to post to a point that I'm like, do I even want to post this?
Yeah.
And I just am in this like cycle of that lately. Is it easier for you since you're posting other people's clips more often, or is it?
So much easier. I mean, because I feel like that way with myself, where like I even tried editing my stuff and I hate it. I had like a friend who's also good at like edit stuff for me, and then I didn't post them because I hate it. I've literally been commissioned to and have cut clips for people and gave them to them, and they spent good money on these clips. And like halfway through, they just stopped posting them. I'm like, what's going on? You, you gave me hundreds of dollars to do this. Like, don't waste it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so, but that's one of the good things about me is because it is like you're so emotionally attached to your work, and when I work with other people's produce, like I generally always work with people who I like. I see value and I see what they do is really good. But I also am like, yeah, I'm not gonna have emotional connections to this stuff. I'm gonna make the cuts that need to be made, and I'm gonna post the stuff that needs to be posted. You know what I mean? Like it does feel good because th they say like writers are like afraid to kill their darlings because they're so
Hmm.
emotionally done. I'll murder your darlings, no problem. Like I will murder them. I have no problem with that. Uh, but you also have to be like nice about it. Like that's the other danger with because I see there are other comedy producers,
Yeah.
even in I'm not going to name any, but you wouldn't know them anyway. But there's other who you can become like a horrible asshole in producing, or just famous like
Yeah.
famous monster producers, like not even to do with all the crimes, who all the major famous producers have seemed to commit horrible sex crimes, but not even count like Harvey Weinstein was like a horrible asshole because there is this like you can start treating people like toys or they're not humans or like you're for you oh I get to make these people do stuff so there is like you have to understand like the human aspect of it too and just be a
Yeah.
good person like or I don't think I'm a good person but like you got to try to
Oh.
try to be nice like I would never say that I'm not that type of weirdo but like you got to try and like have empathy for people and put people in the best position to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and there is like it's the classic like a lot of people stand up, they forget where it's like the time to be the most blunt is in the writing room is so then the comedian doesn't go on stage and bomb with whatever idea. Like you're trying to help your friends out that way. And then you're kind of doing almost the opposite, where it's like now you have this recording and you're like, oh, I could cut out some ums and uhs or dead space, and I can
Yeah.
kind of sweeten this bit to be just a little more of what I pictured them to want. And like I've edited a good amount of like other people's stuff in general, and it is like I try to be like this is how they wanted it, like they
Yeah.
said it how they want it, so I try not to edit the jokes too much. And yeah, you're right, it's like they're paying you money to make them look good.
Yeah.
Make sure they look good. you know
Yes. Make sure they look good. And yeah, there's two types of vettings. You can just like cut it how it is or you can be more like because I try to explain to people that they're two different skills. So like you performing your comedy on stage, it might crush, it might be the best it's ever been, you know what I mean? And that's great for the stage, but social media is has different rules in that the timing is different, the pacing is different. One of the things that I do that people don't understand is I cut down laughs. If you get a huge long laugh, I'm cutting that down because people aren't going to sit through the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Mm.
The big pop it gets already like demonstrates the point, already. So I'm not I'm actually making you look better by like laugh, go right into your next joke, and you look super tight and snappy. So that's kind of like the one of the like counterintuitive things is like, yeah, you got to cut down laughs. Not only do you cut down ums and ahs, but you got to cut down laughs because the context is different. When you're on stage at a club or someplace, people have come out to that show. People have bought tickets. They'll give you like way more benefit of the doubt. They'll sit through your whole show almost no matter what. You know what I mean? Like if you're a good performer, there's almost even if you're like half bombing, they'll still sit through it. You know what I mean? But if you're a good performer, they'll sit through it. They'll enjoy it unless there's something really weird going on. But like social media, they could just scroll on and like they'll give you 3 seconds at the most.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll chop your bit, like start, like I'll cut out a lot of setup because it's not needed. I'll start your bit in the middle of it, that kind of stuff. Um, because that's the context of social media. You know what I mean? It's not when you put your bits on social media, it's not the same bit anymore. It's different. But if people don't want that, obviously if they're paying me, I'll do whatever they want me to do. But like
Yeah.
that's how you optimize it. There's certain ways, and yeah, it's
I-
the other thing about cutting people is you just gotta. I think people are afraid to put their best stuff out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So they'll put like mediocre crowd work. I'm like, you've got great bits. Like, do you want people to see great bits when they go to your social media, or do they want to see shitty, mediocre stuff? Because like it's not you're not George Carlin where you're like saving it for a special or something like that. It's the best case scenario is people will forget about it in like a couple weeks most of the time. Like it's you're shouting it into a void. So the best case scenario, it gets like 3+ million views and a decent amount of people see it. And if enough people see it, where people go to shows who have seen that bit and see you at the show, that's a good thing. That's a win. You're almost famous to them now. So that's
Mm.
the other like discussion I have with comedians I work with.
Yeah. Yeah, because to be honest with you, getting ready as a person getting ready to film a special, I do not post any two things. And
Yeah,
I do want to get your thoughts on is like
sure.
I don't post clips because yeah, I don't want them to be like I just saw that on Instagram and now I'm watching your hour, which is you're right. The 3 million that view it might not be the exact same. Let's say I get 3 million views on my
Yeah,
special. They may
yeah.
not have any overlap of any sort, which is, just how things are these days. And so that's understandable. But I guess my other question to you is what about these comedians that have like longer bits where they're not short, sweet bits? Like how do you go around like storytelling or, things like that?
It's hard because I'm one of those comedians. Yeah, that is you can start really hacking people's bits, which is not, but usually sometimes they're just not good for TikTok, but usually what happens is usually they'll have like multiple outs, it might not be the end of the story, but there's a big pop, something
Mm,
like that. So usually you can just post a part of the story or something like that. But yeah, there's no easy way. I'm trying to think of like major storytelling comedians who are big on TikTok, and I can't think of any right now because you know what? I guess the gentleman, I forget his name, is it Josh Johnson, who's like a
yeah, Josh
black
Johnson.
guy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a
he
storyteller.
tells
Yeah.
stories, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so it's starting to happen, and I think most sites now let you do 3 minutes, which is enough time to give a structure of a story. So, but I don't have as much experience like that, and that is definitely harder.
Yeah, but I
Are you
feel like
are
it's
you?
probably harder to get 3 million views on a 3-minute video than 3 million views on a 15 to 30-second video. I would assume.
Yeah, 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 definitely longer videos can help with watch time. Yeah, I mean, the key to a good clip is it almost doesn't matter. The key to a good clip is like just a really good beginning to hook people in,
Yeah.
and then they'll watch most of it, you know what I mean? And end it as best you can. But, usually you can at least find an ending spot, even if it's not the whole story. And for your coming up special, like that that it is like it seems like you're going to do like a like good quality recording video and everything like that. So
Yeah.
I would definitely post a lot of clips from it, but maybe after you release the special to like promote it, because
Yeah.
your clips are probably going to get way more views than your special, but you post all those clips afterwards, like clip the shit out of it, but after you post your special, uh maybe even put like a little stinger at the end, like watch the special or something like that, or not. But like that all, even the just good quality special looking clips are gonna like promote you. That's what everyone does. But yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of posting clips. But yeah, not before the special's out because.
Yeah, I just, it's like I don't want to post like a clip of a joke at me at like, a random venue and then
Hmm.
later I'm promoting the special and I'm like posting the same joke. Now it's, multicam and it looks great, but you're like, isn't that the same? But, I worry about that, but maybe I shouldn't even think about that at all.
I would say don't worry about that. Almost every major comedian does that. A lot of people do that. It can get tiring, but it's also people just don't you underestimate how little people remember, how much noise there is, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
I it is totally cool to like repost even the same exact clip after like a year. It is totally cool to do that these days because if it's a really good clip because it's just about going through the noise. Obviously, the more better content the better, but it is very like momentum based. So like if you
Mhm.
have one clip that goes viral, the next clip is gonna more likely to go viral. So, get all your ducks in a row, like release your special, have a bunch of clips cut, then start releasing them and see if you can make a big boom, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I for sure will be calling you when I'm closer to releasing and being
Yeah.
like, are these clips worth it? You know?
Yeah.
I'll be picking your brain for sure when
I'll
it's that time.
however I can help. I mean, I'm sure you'll crush it, but yeah, I'm always here to help for sure. That
Yeah,
sounds
man.
awesome.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, dude, thank you so much for doing this. I mean, it's great to like hear about your journey through stand up and production and kind of what you're working on and I really do mean it. Like your video, I'll call them video essays. Your video
Thank
essays
you.
are like so good and it's
Thank
it's
you.
just impressive that you can like put something like that it's just like so much time and effort and emotional. So,
Did
I
did you did you
yeah.
see the most recent one about selling drugs? A comedy show funded by drugs. I got into the
Yes,
comedy
yes,
business
that is
funded by
also
drugs.
like like it's
That's another
crazy.
insane story where it's like, oh yeah, no, he's just selling drugs to fund the What's the big deal? He's high in ketamine all the time. What's the big deal? He also does his own drugs. Oh, he no, he's getting into the comedy producing business because he was busted selling to an undercover cop 15 grams of ketamine, which is a huge amount, I'm told. So yeah, so crazy story. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's that. When I was watching that video, it really like I was so anxious watching it of
Yeah.
just like not only the all that stuff that we just talked about, but really you guys trying to get into these festivals and
Yeah.
like really like swaying your way and talking away and then setting up
Yes.
in the like I don't
Yes.
want to ruin it for people, so I'm not going to go into too
Ruin
much.
it. Ruin it. Yeah.
It's just dude, it's crazy that you're like, yeah, let me set up a whole stage over here.
Yeah.
And I'm just such an anxious person that I could never just be like, let me just set up this stage.
No, I am such an anxious person too. I was like so scared, but like once you get into it, you realize it's such a no one it is what I didn't realize is like I kind of learned the appeal by going to music festival. It is such a like a free, no one judges you, wear whatever you want type of environment. So, and these aren't like the major corporate festivals. Like this wasn't like
Right.
Firefly or Lollapalooza or whatever it is. These were like small, so it's not like they had a lot of like security was like two guys driving a go-kart or whatever. So it was yeah, it was oddly freeing experience, even though I was so scared. I was like, whoa, what if they like check, because they were smuggling us into the festival underneath blankets. I'm like, well, what if they open the car and like look under? They're like, they don't give a shit. The guy working the door is a guy who's volunteering
Yeah.
so he can go to the festival for free because
Yeah.
he's a hippie himself. You know what I mean? They're like, we're just gonna buy him a McDonald's, breakfast sandwich, and he'll do whatever the fuck we say. So, yeah, that was insane. But thank you so much for watching. James McAliney on YouTube, so check it out if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for doing this. And yeah, is there anything else that you want to promote that you have coming up or anything else you want to push people to?
Yeah, I mean, just my YouTube channel has got a bunch of evergreen videos. The further you go back, the less good I am at making videos. So go back as far as you dare. Uh, and then if you want to see like my production comedy shows, if you're in the greater Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware area, you want to go to a comedy show, you can go to Roux Comedy, ROUX comedy.com, or Roux Comedy on like all social media sites to check me out.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah, and I'll put all that in the show notes so there'll be an easy way for them to click over and learn about the shows. And at least I highly suggest they go onto YouTube and watch those video essays and check out the tick. I like the TikTok channel of all the stuff that you post. So
Oh,
uh,
thank you.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll make sure make sure to check out that. But thank you so much for
thank
doing
you.
the show, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You're an awesome dude. I love like working with you, everything, doing interviews with you. Nice.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course, buddy.